and welcome to Leadership Emotional Development LLC. This class is the Advanced Emotional Intelligence course, especially designed for leaders like you and leaders of all industries. Hi again, my name is Rick Pineda. I believe everybody knows me already. So I am delightful to have you all here tonight and very happy to see that you have taken time to really sharp your career, your leadership career, and to make it really much more important and much more solid. Because I tell you what, it is in emotional intelligence where you are going to find a lot of success, how to deal with your employees, and how to overcome deficiencies with your employees as well. So we will be between sections. You are going to have pause so we can talk about the items that we presented. Um, Not this section, but the next one, you are going to be having sort of like a quiz, and that quiz is a 4 questions quiz that is that is will be presented to you, and you will be given the answer. But what I like you to do is to listen to the question and try to answer it in your mind. That way, you can tell how much you really are absorbing this class. So it's really kind of like a game. You will learn the answer, but try to beat the answer by saying it in your mind what the answer is. Um, so the concept of emotional intelligence really was introduced a little bit over 25 years ago. And over that time, it has evolved from a new scientific construct to a popular fad to a mainstay concept in leadership and team development. It is a unique concept in that it is both respected in the scientific community and understood by the general public. This course, of course, will give you the advanced tools you need to be emotional intelligence in all you do at your home, at your workplace, and at your community. Okay. The context of this seminar will be presenting refreshing emotional intelligence definitions, as I said before, regulating your emotions. We're going to be talking about taking techniques to gain control, and the second class, making an impact, is a good one, and then we will be wrapping it up. Emotional intelligence definitions. As I said before, we need to do some reviews of the basics so most of you folks can understand that and get ready, for taking deeper classes. Uh, Somebody asked a question? Okay. Defining emotional intelligence, leaders' effectiveness will be the second topic. We are going to be also introducing the competencies and, of course, describing each of them. Uh, our producer is Byron Scotty, and he will be with us, um, um, basically introducing you these concepts. Uh, so, if you will, please, Byron, go take it away.
Defining emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the individual's ability to recognize his own emotions and the emotions of others. Emotional intelligence is a part of you that affects every aspect of your life. Understanding the root causes of your emotions and how to use them can help you to adequately identify who you are and how you interact with others. This workshop will give you the tools you need to be emotionally intelligent in your workplace. An employee with high emotional intelligence can manage his or her impulses, communicate with others effectively, manage change well, and solve problems. Business leaders have long had the sense that success involved something beyond understanding financials and the analysis of business factors, yet they found describing and understanding that something to be elusive. The people side, the soft side, doesn't come as naturally to many of them as the hard side of business. Leaders' emotional competencies have enormous impact on the effectiveness of your leadership assignment and will have a great impact on an organization's bottom line. But how does emotional intelligence benefit your leadership effectiveness? Meyer, Salovey, and Caruso, 2002, suggested 4 branches to help us become that effective leader. The perceiving emotions branch involves the ability to identify emotions in ourselves, others, and as represented by objects, such as pictures, as well as the ability to express emotions accurately. For example, you and a colleague are planning a high-stakes business presentation. You recognize that you're feeling excited, but notice that your colleague seems to feel hesitant. You express your excitement by commenting energetically on possible ways to do the presentation. The emotional facilitation of thought branch involves the use of emotions to prioritize thought and utilizes feelings as aids to judgment. Changes in mood lead to changes in perspective. For example, your excitement leads you to think about the parts of the presentation that you look forward to and the impact you anticipate that it will have. It is also helping you to anticipate what you need to prepare. Your friend's hesitation is leading her to think about what could go wrong and her general fear of failure. Her perspective is different from yours. The understanding and analyzing emotions branch involves the accurate labeling of emotions, understanding emotions and relationships, understanding complex feelings, and understanding transitions between emotions. For example, you tell your friend that you are excited about the presentation. Part of your excitement is based on your relationship with your colleague, someone with whom you enjoy working. As you think about her hesitation, you begin to feel a little apprehensive that she may back out or underperform. You recognize that your apprehension is leading you to be a little less excited about doing the presentation. The reflective regulation of emotions branch involves the ability to stay open to feelings, reflectively engage, and detaching from feelings as appropriate, and managing emotions in oneself and attempting to influence them in others. For example, while you enjoy your excitement, you recognize that as you show more excitement, your colleague expresses more hesitation. You rein in your excitement to a lower level so that you can listen more closely to your colleague's concerns. Your tuning into what she is saying helps your colleague to feel heard, which helps her to become less apprehensive and more oriented to solve the problems that she's concerned about. Personal and social competencies. Dr. Goleman separated the EQ competencies in 2 groups, the personal and the social groups. Personal competencies. There are 3 areas of personal skills or competencies in emotional intelligence: self-awareness, self-regulation, and motivation or self-motivation. Social skills or competencies. Interpersonal skills are the skills we use to interact with other people. They enable us to communicate appropriately and build stronger, more meaningful relationships. Emotional intelligence includes how we understand others and their emotions, and our actions and behaviors towards them. There are 2 key aspects: empathy and social skills, or relationship management. We'll look at these competencies individually now. Self-awareness. Being aware of oneself is the ability to accurately perceive one's skills and knowledge, value, and responsibilities. It is confident in what you have to offer, whether it's personally or professionally. Self-awareness is not only crucial for one's self-esteem, but it is also the first step to the process of full acceptance or change. Without understanding why one thinks the way he thinks or why he acts the way he acts, he may never fully appreciate himself or see the importance of making changes to improve him if necessary. Self-awareness gives power and a sense of peace or happiness. This newly found strength will more than likely carry over into your work life, how you perform your duties, as well as how you interact with others. The lack of self-awareness can cause you not to realize your worth in the company, or even the quality of the work you perform. This can have an even more dramatic effect when you hold a leadership position. Not only will you have doubts about yourself, but the people you lead will also begin to question your competence, which could ultimately lead to a lack of leadership effectiveness. Self-regulation is another term for self-control, which is defined as the ability to control one's emotions, desires, and behaviors to reach a positive outcome. Self-regulation is sometimes difficult because of the phenomenon that is essential to express how you feel. While this may be partially true, the art of finding the balance between expressing one's feelings and avoiding unnecessary tension is self-regulation. Self-regulation is a direct reflection of the type of pressure one is experiencing. There are 3 types of pressure. Good pressure. This type of pressure is the result of an aggressive, yet non-critical and non-harmful atmosphere. One aspires to be like the people around him or her. This motivation leads to the acquisition of self-regulation. Bad pressure. Bad pressure is when the atmosphere is critical and harmful. One is not motivated and loses self-regulation. No pressure. When one is not experiencing any pressure, he or she tends to act based on emotion, since there is no one to compare against him or herself. Self-motivation. Andrew Carnegie said it best with his quote, "People who are unable to motivate themselves must be content with mediocrity, no matter how impressive their other talents." Self-motivation is an essential part of excelling in life. It would be best if you learned to motivate yourself because you cannot depend on others to do it for you. You have to know how to encourage yourself, regardless of how bad the situation. There are several keys to building self-motivation. Work towards a cause. Don't compare yourself to others. Make the conscious effort not to give up. Don't live in your past failures or successes. Utilize positive thinking. There are times when you may need the motivation to get motivated. Positive thinking may not be doing the trick. What should you do? Consider these suggestions. Write down your plan for improvement. Briefly think about your past successes. And read books that promote self-motivation. Empathy. Empathy is sharing in the feelings of others, whether joy or sadness, is an admirable trait. For empathy to work, a leader must first be able to recognize, classify, and understand their own feelings. To do that, we had broken empathy into 3 daily situations that will make you succeed in identifying and preventing safety errors in your workplace, which can end on the next fatality. Carl Rogers on sharing feelings defines: perceive the internal frame of reference of another individual and sharing his or her feelings with accuracy and with the emotional components associated with gives a leader the understanding of the individual's feelings by association. Thus, sharing feelings in empathy means to sense the hurt or the pleasure of another as he or she senses it and perceives it. This will set the leader up for understanding their associate's mental state when complacency has hidden their anxiety from everyone. Martin Hoffman on effective response suggests, an adequate response is more appropriate to another situation than one's own. People with empathy listen attentively and can grasp the other person's perspective. Therefore, giving the right answer back effectively improving his relationship with the others and showing respect for each other. Set up the tone of the conversation to trust you and for them to bring the issues that cause them stress. As you treat others the way you would like to be treated, you not only prevent unnecessary turnover in your group, but you'll detect the hidden complacency when and if this occurs, and will help avoid errors of safety and fatalities in your workplace. Trust me, you need to meet safety score goals for the company, but mostly you need to better your competencies, which can spare the lives of many around you. Alvin Goldman on mental shoes proposed, the ability to put oneself into the mental shoes of another person to understand his or her emotions and feelings. Leaders with empathy can attune to a wide range of emotional signals, letting them sense the felt but unspoken emotions in a person or a group. They listen attentively and can grasp the other person's perspective. Empathy makes a person able to get along well with people of diverse backgrounds or from different cultures. Practicing compassion will allow you to break the walls down and to practice the open door policy to all your reports. It will bring loyalty and respect to you no matter what your management style is. Social skills concerns the skills or adeptness at inducing desirable responses in others. The relationship management cluster contains 6 competencies. Inspiration. Leaders who inspire both create resonance and move people with a compelling mission. They embody what they ask others to do and are able to articulate a shared mission in a way that inspires others to follow. They offer a sense of common purpose beyond the day-to-day tasks, making work exciting. Influence. Indicators of a leader's powers of influence range from finding just the right appeal for a given listener to know how to build buy-in from key people and a network of support for an initiative. They are persuasive and engaging when addressing a group. Developing others. Leaders who are adept at cultivating people's abilities show a genuine interest in those they are helping along, understanding their goals, strengths, and weaknesses. Such leaders can give timely and constructive feedback and are natural mentors and coaches. Change catalyst. Leaders who can catalyze change are able to recognize the need for change, challenge status quo, and champion the new order. They can be strong advocates for change, even in the face of opposition, making the argument for it compellingly. They find practical ways to overcome barriers to change. Conflict management. Leaders who manage conflicts best are able to draw out all parties, understanding the different perspectives, and find common ideals that everyone can endorse. They surface the conflict, acknowledge the feelings and views of all sides, and then redirect the energy toward a shared ideal. Teamwork and collaboration. Leaders who are able team players generate an atmosphere of friendly collegiality and are themselves models of respect, helpfulness, and cooperation. They draw others into active, enthusiastic commitment to the collective effort and build spirit and identity. They spend time forging and cementing close relationships beyond mere work obligations.
Our emotions are an integral part of our lives. They protect us by alerting us to danger. They add color to our lives and help us find meaning to our existence. By increasing our awareness of emotions and their effects, and then focusing on our thoughts, we can learn to manage our emotional reactions effectively. So, in this section, we are going to be covering concepts as follows: tool to regulate your emotions, seeing the other side, self management and self awareness, and then giving in without really giving up. This is a way for you to learn to compromise when things get sour and you have a disagreement with another leader.
Tools to regulate your emotions. The emotional regulation concept is a term generally used to describe a person's ability to effectively manage and respond to an emotional experience. But the ability to keep your emotions under control requires more than just a willing heart. Understanding a situation through the eyes of another and strengthening self-management and self-awareness skills are tools that can be used in your quest to regulate your emotions. But it takes a strong conviction to lead and set an example to inspire others. Seeing the other side. If you ever want to understand the type of person you are and how you behave, ask other people. It's easy to justify the things you do, so much so that it seems like everything you do is perfect. But if you take an honest look at yourself, you'll probably say not only is this perfection untrue for you, but it is unattainable for all. Talk to your boss, coworkers, or friends about how they view you. If someone says, when everything's good, you're a nice person, but if something doesn't go your way, you have an explosive temper. Don't get upset, and don't automatically say that it's not true. Gaining this insight is a valuable tool for you to help regulate your emotions. Your emotions and how you express them is your responsibility. If you don't like it, fix it. Self-management and self-awareness. Self-management can sometimes be a hard quality to tame when self-awareness produces a very arrogant and self-centered result. The strength to self-management and self-awareness lies in the balance between the two. Understanding who you are, the role you play, authority you possess are all very important. But when these things overshadow your ability to be consistent and accountable, this could cause a poor outcome. By the same token, if one lacks understanding of whom they are and their importance, this could also hinder their ability to be consistent and accountable. People who are aware of their methods of dealing with conflict and understand the bearing of their way of doing things aren't as likely to make matters worse than those who are not aware of themselves. Giving in without giving up. Compromise is an unavoidable part of dealing with others in both the business world and personal relationships. The ideal situation would be that everyone agrees with everything you say, but that is highly unlikely. Unless you live in a society that does not value diplomacy, this is a skill that will present plenty of opportunities for you to master it. This can be even more of an issue when you're in a position of less influence. You may be expected to compromise at a greater level, or even be expected to follow the lead of your superiors without regard to your own feelings or opinions. In either case, learning how to have your beliefs while accepting the ideas of others and not causing tension in the relationship is crucial to your success in the workplace. Therefore, balance your ideas and the ideas of others and compromise. Seeing the other side requires you to analyze yourself. Ask other people for opinions about you. Think about yourself from another angle. Or think about how you could act. The correct answer is B. Ask other people for opinions about you.
Remember to try to beat him in your mind.
Your emotions and how you express them is invariably a result of how other people perceive it, your responsibility, or always determined by the situation. The correct answer is C. Your responsibility. The strength to self-management and self-awareness lies in giving the advantage to self-awareness, giving the advantage to self-management, giving the advantage to one of those depending on the situation, or finding the balance between those two. The correct answer is D. Finding the balance between the two. When someone's self-awareness produces the self-centered result, the self-management, A, can be a hard quality, B, can be an impossible quality, C, can be an easy quality, or D, none of the above. The correct answer is A. can be a hard quality.
I really hope that we all passed with brilliant colors. So here we go. Until let's take a look about the techniques of how to gain control, how leaders take control. Emotions are a wonderful part of life and what enable us to be passionate in certain things, but they are not so wonderful when they are managed and begin to take over your life. Have you ever found yourself getting your feelings hurt over minuscule things? When situations arise, do you find yourself reacting of how you feel rather than thinking things through first? We need to get our emotions really under control. To do this, we're going to be today looking at gaining control, using coping thoughts, using relaxation techniques, and bringing it all together. Is Byron.
Gaining control. Just by the very nature of the world, control is a very powerful thing to have. Having control causes companies to become multi-billion-dollar entities and nations to crumble. This is no less important when it comes to having control over yourself, your thoughts, and your emotions. Having control, or the lack thereof, could be the difference between building a successful career and no career at all. If you have control over these aspects of your life, pat yourself on the back. If you do not, read the following to obtain the necessary tools to become the master of your fate. Using coping thoughts. The power of the mind is amazing. Every day, you'll encounter at least one situation that requires you to use the calming forces of your mind to overcome the potential anxiety of the issue at hand. In order to use these forces, you must have a reservoir that consists of them. When you find yourself in a situation that requires coping skills, do the following. Take a deep breath. Deep breathing has an amazingly calming effect on the brain. By taking a deep breath or two, you can easily avoid your first natural reaction to a stressful situation. This can prevent you from saying something or physically acting out in a manner that is inappropriate and may require you to apologize later on. Step away from the issue. Mentally take yourself away from the situation and analyze the issue itself. Ask yourself, is it something worth using your emotions on? Does it truly impact you? Will your emotions bring forth a resolution to the problem or just internal conflict for you? Use positive thinking. Even if the situation requires you to physically act, you do not want to approach it with thoughts of anger, sadness, or other negative emotions. Consciously tell your mind to think happy thoughts. Thinking happy thoughts is not a way to avoid the problem, but rather a way to prepare you to tackle it in a productive manner. Using relaxing techniques. Relaxation techniques are not just used to help you feel better. They actually play a major role in reducing the stress on your body and mind that comes from the experiences of everyday life. According to the Mayo Clinic, relaxation techniques can reduce stress symptoms, slowing your heart rate, lowering blood pressure, slowing your breathing rate, increasing blood flow to major muscles, reducing muscle tension and chronic pain, improving concentration, reducing anger and frustration, boosting confidence to handle problems. There are several common types of relaxation techniques, with 3 of them being 1. Autogenic. This technique uses the senses to promote relaxation. For example, one may think about a peaceful place and then use relaxed breathing. Or they might repeat words in their mind to do away with muscle tension. 2. Progressive muscle. In this technique, individuals purposely tense and then relax each muscle group. 3. Visualization. With visualization, the individual imagines a calming place and tries to utilize his or her senses to feel like they are really at that place. Bringing it all together. Once you've mastered the art of coping with difficult situations, it may not be necessary to engage in relaxation techniques as much. But until you've reached that point, and maybe even afterwards, finding effective ways to relax yourself and take control of the situation is highly beneficial. Whether it's dealing with an unruly coworker or a demanding boss, not allowing negativity to get the best of your emotions can benefit your mind, body, and soul, which is the ultimate goal.
Let's see these questions now.
Which of the following is not one of the advices for coping situations? A. Taking a deep breath. B. Using positive thinking. C. Stepping away from the issue. Or D. Delaying involvement in such situations. The correct answer is D. Delaying involvement in such situations. Which of the following statements is not true? A. The control a company has is equally important as the control an individual has over oneself. B. Having control could be the difference between building a successful career and no career at all. C. Even if the situation requires you to physically act, you have to be focused on your thoughts. D. All the statements above are true. The correct answer is D. All statements above are true. The relaxation techniques do not reduce stress symptoms by A. Boosting confidence to handle problems. B. Distracting your mind from the problems. C. Improving concentration. Or D. Reducing muscle tension and chronic pain. The correct answer is B. Distracting your mind from the problems. Which of the following is not one of the common types of relaxation techniques? A. Autogenic. B. Visualization. C. Heterogenic. D. Progressive muscle. The correct answer is C. Heterogenic.
Business practice 1. Managing emotions at the workplace. I'm going to stop for a minute here to ask if anybody has any questions so far. Okay, then we'll just move right along. Digital transformation is causing tremendous changes across the business world. As competition becomes more intense, customers' expectations rise, and markets evolve faster than ever. Business today are being forced to rethink their business process, obviously because of this pandemic. To navigate these challenges, business need to work smarter, not harder. And one of the ways they can work smarter is by carefully managing the content that lies at the heart of their business, creating a robust business plan. So in here, we're going to be talking about business practice 1, emotions in the workplace, the role of emotional intelligence at work, disagreeing constructively, and then we'll review our questions. Byron?
Business practices 1. The definition of business practices establishes the procedures, but there's more to the workplace than the business itself. Many companies create a robust business plan, but that doesn't guarantee a successful execution of it. The execution will be done by their employees' flawless implementation. Employees' makeup is made out of emotions and their ability to manage them. Therefore, employees' level of emotional intelligence and communication skills will be a key part of whether or not a business can carry on a flawless execution of their business plan to be successful. Here we are going to take a deep view on how companies can achieve their objectives by understanding how their workforce human behavior, set by their emotions, will help execute their business practice to succeed. Understanding emotions and how to manage them in the workplace. As previously stated, having emotions is an inherent part of all human beings. Understanding one's emotions and learning how to use them is the responsibility of each person. Many times, it may feel like the workplace is no place for emotions, whether good or bad. But the truth is, emotions must be utilized. For example, if you are the manager and your team is about to miss an important deadline, it's up to you to stay in control and take the opportunity to stress how necessary it is for you to meet the deadline. The approach you take is determined by your natural tendencies, as well as level of professionalism. One level-headed approach may be to call the team to a meeting and explain the ramifications of not meeting the deadline. This would also be a good time to listen to the team members to find out if there's something out of their control that is preventing them from doing their job. A less calm and volatile method would be to yell at everyone and tell them to get to work. Deciding which style is best can be done by weighing the pros and cons of each, as well as which would result in the most positive outcome. Do not rely solely on how you feel, but what makes logical sense. Role of emotional intelligence at work. Emotional intelligence plays a vital role in the workplace. How one feels about himself, interacts with others, and handles conflict is directly reflected in the quality of work produced. Both social and personal proficiencies are developed as a result of emotional intelligence. Social proficiencies. Empathy. Being aware of others' feelings and exhibiting compassion. Intuition. An inner sense of the feelings of others. Political acumen. Ability to communicate, strong influence and leadership skills, and conflict resolution. Personal proficiencies. Self-awareness. Understanding one's own emotions. The ability to assess oneself as well as display confidence. Self-regulation. Managing one's emotions, maintaining trustworthiness and flexibility. Motivation. Being optimistic about situations, having the drive to take initiative and commit until completion. Disagreeing constructively. To disagree constructively means to do so in a positive, productive manner. Its purpose is not to disagree for the sake of disagreeing or getting your point across. It is also not used to be negative or destructive of another's thoughts. The workplace is a place where disagreeing is a common occurrence. Companies look for the most effective ways to carry out operations in the most productive way, and therefore must invest in process improvement strategies, which opens the floor for discussion and compromise. What does constructively disagreeing look like in practice, you may ask? Well, it's acknowledging and confirming someone else's ideas. Then present your own ideas and compromise as proactive teams do and win. Example: Ted, because of the nature of their duties, I feel the customer service phone team should arrive 30 minutes before their shift to bring up their systems and test their equipment to make sure it's properly working so they're ready to take the first call as soon as their shift starts. Michael, I understand your point, Ted, and I agree the phone team should arrive early to prepare themselves for the start of their shift. However, I feel that 15 minutes is sufficient time for them to get everything in place. The approach you take in situations at work is determined by A. Your natural tendencies, B. Your level of professionalism, C. Both your natural tendencies and level of professionalism, or D. None of the above. The correct answer is C. Both natural tendencies and level of professionalism.
Mhm.
Deciding which approach is the best for situations at work can be done by A. Weighing the pros and cons of each. B. Reliance on your natural feelings. C. Aligning them with your current mood. Or D. Asking a colleague for help. The correct answer is A. Weighing the pros and cons of each. Intuition is an element of A. Social proficiencies. B. Personal proficiencies. C. Both social and personal proficiencies. Or D. None of the above. The correct answer is A. Social proficiencies. Which of the following refers to political acumen? A. Maintaining trustworthiness and flexibility. B. The ability to assess oneself as well as display confidence. C. The ability to communicate, strong influence and leadership skills, and conflict resolution. Or D. Having the drive to take initiative and commit until completion. The correct answer is C. Ability to communicate, strong influence and leadership skills, and conflict resolution.
Business of practice 2. The leader state of mind. Leaders who practice an optimistic outlook are confident. They're positive and focus on achieving a desired goal. They know there will be bumps and hard work, and they are not overconfident. They are centered and believe in focusing on what they can control. And they see value in being positive and hopeful. They want to provide their employees with the certainty that their leaders will remain calm and confident, and that together the team can succeed. In this section, we're going to be looking at the state of mind, and I want you to pay attention to that one because this comes from a Harvard uh, business report that you need to hear about the state of mind. We're going to be talking about leadership impact, and then Byron will take optimism as well as pessimism, and then he will look at a balance between both.
The state of mind. 2 years ago, Harvard University helped launch a long-term global research initiative to provide quantitative data on the topic of leaders' state of mind. They selected 18 states of mind and surveyed leaders around the world on how often they experience each one, the impact of each on their effectiveness and performance, and what they do to manage their state of mind. To date, they have surveyed and interviewed over 740 leaders. Here's a chart that lists the percentage of leaders who reported experiencing each of the 18 states of mind, often or regularly. Of the 18 states of mind in the chart, it came as no surprise that 94% of respondents reported that calm, happy, and energized, CHE, are the three that drive the greatest levels of effectiveness and performance. The chart clearly shows that most leaders seem able to access CHE states on a regular basis. However, frustrated, anxious, tired, and stressed, FATS states of mind were also relatively common, and researchers found that certain factors such as age, gender, organizational level, organizational tenure, span of influence, and type and size of organization are correlated with similar states of mind, with lower states more prevalent in certain categories of people, including the young, the male, those with less tenure, and those operating at lower organizational levels. Most leaders reported that FATS states often yielded benefits in the short term, but are detrimental in the long term, especially to relationships. They also report that it is difficult to shift out of these states of mind when they're consistently present in the organizational culture or environment. The leaders who responded to the survey also reported it is much harder to shift from below-the-line states of mind to above-the-line states of mind. So how do leaders shift from lower states of mind to higher states of mind and improve their effectiveness and performance? And furthermore, how can they help other people in their organizations who tend to default to lower states of mind do the same? Researchers consolidated the best practices into 4 categories. Thoughts and feelings. Acknowledge your emotions to reduce their intensity. Allow your thoughts to be transient. Visualize positive images to generate positive feelings. Refocus your attention on different stimuli. Journal to find clarity, and engage in meaningful conversations to foster understanding and optimism. Physiology. Use deep breathing to reduce stress. Stretch to loosen muscles, stimulate blood flow, and improve cognitive function. And take breaks to clear the mind, relax the prefrontal cortex, and increase contentment. External environment. Adjust lighting and block noise to generate calm. Listen to music to stimulate reflection. Eliminate clutter to reduce anxiety and improve focus. And spend time in nature to shift perspective. Health and well-being. Eat a well-balanced diet. Stick to an exercise regimen and get adequate sleep to maintain your energy and balance. A leader has an immeasurable impact on those they oversee. Their emotional output in a professional setting will affect their employees psychologically and, by extension, their productivity as well. If you were to ask anyone, they would undoubtedly tell you an optimistic leader is far better than a pessimistic one. Pessimism doesn't grow your business or even maintain the status quo. The pessimists on your staff make the job harder for everyone around them. They make difficulties out of opportunities, and the worst part is that their surliness rubs off on others. An optimist leader, however, understands that life can be a bumpy road, but at least is leading somewhere. They learn from mistakes and failures and are not afraid to fail again. It may not be your fault for being knocked down, but it is certainly your fault for not getting up. Optimism. Possessing the quality of optimism is the ability to find the bright side of every situation. This is an admirable position that not all have. The secret to exhibiting this characteristic is to understand that there are no issues that cannot have a positive spin. Optimistic employees tend to be more productive in terms of quality and quantity of their work, and therefore make more money for the company. Optimism is also very good for your health. There have been several studies performed that conclude that those who live with a bright outlook generally live longer than those who do not. Also, optimists are likely to have more long-lasting, successful personal relationships. Not only is this beneficial for an individual's personal life, but optimism can be a competitive advantage in the business world. Like every other entity, businesses suffer losses and setbacks, but the trick to maintaining the stability of a company is a leadership that knows how to look past the current problem to a nearby resolution. Therefore, see a resolution. Why? Because nobody wants to follow a leader that whimpers at the sight of trouble, just like the people he is leading. Not many people can honestly say they desire this type of leader. Pessimism. Pessimism is the exact opposite of optimism. Instead of viewing the glass as half full or having a positive outlook on situations, pessimists can only see the downside of the issue. As you would expect, pessimism in the workplace can be very detrimental to the individual's career growth and well-being of the company as a whole. A pessimist who holds a leadership role can bring down the productivity and morale of the team just by his or her very nature. An individual contributor with this type of attitude may never get promoted to leadership positions. What about the health factors associated with this pessimism? Pessimists generally suffer a lot of bodily and mental stress, which can manifest itself in a variety of ways, such as heart disease, diabetes, and even cancer. So what's the moral of this story? Don't worry, be happy. the balance between optimism and pessimism. Extremism may not be a desirable trait in a person. This is also true when it comes to optimism and pessimism. Dwelling in the extremes is never a good idea for a leader to be. He or she will become the radical leader nobody wants to have. Being optimistic about every situation could potentially lead a person away from reality and taking the proper steps to resolve the situation. Optimists tend to relate all the positive things in life with their own efforts. Their view is always inclined towards the brighter side of life, and although this could be taken as a proactive attitude, it could also affect the final outcome results if the reality is not as bright as predictive. Also, unrealistic assumptions could result to a bad experience, though most likely the pessimist will hold himself responsible for the turn of events, which will again turn out to be a huge blow to his morale. This type of false hope would ultimately lead to disappointment, which could in turn cause a leader to abandon all optimism. Being optimistic means A. Reversing the bad situations into good ones. B. Finding the bright side of every situation. C. Being positive even by force. Or D. Smiling constantly. The correct answer is B. Finding the bright side of every situation. Which of the following statements regarding the business world is not true? A. Optimistic people are more productive. B. Optimistic people make more money for the company. C. Optimistic people are satisfied with their positions and do not tend to be promoted. Or D. Optimistic people are desirable for the leading positions in companies. The correct answer is C. Optimistic people are satisfied with their positions and do not tend to be promoted. Which of the following statements is true? A. Being pessimistic at work harms only the individual's career. B. Being pessimistic at work cannot harm anyone except the individual and his closest coworkers. C. Being pessimistic at work can be bad for the whole company. Or D. Being pessimistic at work usually doesn't have a big influence on anyone. The correct answer is C. Being pessimistic at work can be bad for the whole company. Which of the following statements is not true? A. Being pessimistic causes body stress. B. Being pessimistic causes mental stress. C. A pessimistic worker may not ever be promoted. Or D. Being pessimistic at work is easy to hide. The correct answer is D. Being pessimistic at work is easy to hide.
Well, we're coming to the final section, and we're hanging there. Making the difference, going beyond the usual. The difference between a leader and an ordinary person is that a leader does whatever it takes to accomplish a goal. And many times this requires self control and self discipline. Effective leaders have self control and self discipline. In the transformational leadership model, leaders set direction and help themselves and others to do the right thing to move forward. To do this, they create an inspiring vision and then motivate and inspire others to reach that vision. So, in this section, we're going to be talking about making an impact, creating a powerful first impression, assessing a situation, being zealous without being offensive, and then we'll do the final questions.
Making an impact. The world's growing ever more competitive. Even if you are employed already, making sure you have access to the best opportunities means going beyond the usual. It's not enough to stay on top of your to-do list or meet the expectations of your job description. If you want to make an impression, you have to differentiate yourself from others. There are 3 things people notice that can help or hinder you in setting yourself apart: your attitude, how you treat others, and how you act when you think no one is watching.
Very important.
Creating a powerful first impression. Although some don't like to admit it, many are greatly concerned with the first impression that is made to a new acquaintance. The impact one leaves can be the difference between getting and not getting a job, or obtaining or not obtaining a contract for your company. There are several factors to keep in mind when meeting someone for the first time, whether it's through electronic means or face-to-face. Physical appearance. It's unfortunate but true that when you're in a face-to-face meeting, you're initially judged on your physical appearance. Always err on the side of caution and present yourself in a conservative light. Avoid flamboyant clothing, jewelry, and makeup. Even though you may be confident in your abilities, these things can send the message that you are unprofessional and not capable of performing the job. Body language. Many times, body language speaks so much louder than words. From posture to facial expressions, the message being conveyed can be completely different from the intended message. So it's important to be aware of how your body is positioned, as well as the message it gives. In addition to posture and facial expressions, be mindful of your eye contact and the tone, pitch, and speed of your voice. Although posture and eye contact may not be as important when you're communicating on the phone, your facial expressions can be very apparent. Smiling while talking is an easy thing to do that says you're professional. The first handshake should be firm enough to show that you are confident, but not so firm that it cuts circulation to the other person's fingers. Be sure to include good eye contact while you're shaking hands. Spoken words. This is one of the more obvious but neglected aspects of the first impression. Focusing too much time on your physical appearance or body language can cause you to forget to choose your words carefully. Choosing your words carefully is not about withholding your true self, but remembering that there are some situations that require you to be more politically correct or proper. Stay away from the slang you would use with friends or in other less formal situations. Also avoid using too much jargon or words not typically used in everyday language, as this may cause a listener to tune out what you're saying for the mere fact that they cannot understand you. Assessing a situation. The way to assess a situation is to step away from it. Before deciding on the path to take to approach a situation, one must first assess it. Is it worth doing anything about? How will it impact me or others? Take yourself out of the equation in order to fully best understand what it's about and the effect it will have. This can allow you to make a more reasonable decision rather than one based on emotions. The overall goal is to be effective when dealing with issues, so make sure you know what you are getting into before embarking on the journey. Being zealous without being offensive. With everything in life, you must strive for balance, not extremism on either side of the spectrum. This balance will not only bring internal stability for you, but it will also allow you to maintain equilibrium within your relationships. Being a zealous person is a good quality, but being overly zealous can not only send a negative message to others, it may be considered offensive. Every manager would like to hear that their employees are excited about work. This sends the idea that the employees will focus on getting the job done. However, getting the job done is not the most important thing. Getting the job done correctly is. The drive to work fast can be a downfall of being overly zealous, as sometimes the individual may lose the focus on quality. The positive side is this individual can bring to the team a renewed excitement that was once lost. Which of the following is not one of the factors for making the first impression? A. Physical appearance. B. Education. C. Spoken words. Or D. Body language. The correct answer is B. Education. Which of the following is not one of the elements of making a good first impression? A. Your type of voice. B. Eye contact. C. Handshake. D. Staying away from the slang. The correct answer is A. Your type of voice.
Wow.
The best way to assess the situation is to A. Step away from it. B. Run into it as promptly as you can. C. Ask others about it. D. It varies from situation to situation. The correct answer is A. Step away from it. Which of the following is not one of the crucial questions for assessing the situation? A. How will it impact me? B. How will it impact others? C. How challenging is it? Or D. Is it worth doing anything about? The correct answer is C. How challenging is it? Wrapping up. Although this workshop is ending, we hope that your journey to improve your understanding of emotional intelligence is just beginning. Please take a moment to review and update your action plan. This will be a crucial tool to guide your progress in the days, weeks, months, and years to come. We wish you the best of luck for the rest of your travels. This concludes the Emotional Intelligence Advanced Workshop. We'll leave you with some words from the wise. Thank you for your participation, and we'll be happy to help you in reviewing and discussing your action plan. Call us for your free consultation.
This is the time now that we go into the questions and the answers. So I am going to stop sharing here and try to answer some of the questions for you guys. Hello, I'm back. I think that we saw many things in there that really remind us of many things that have happened in our careers along the years, and where we had confronted situations such as the ones that you see there. How well did we handle that or not? It depends on recognizing the situation. If you really want to know, the top secret is, before you get into something, try to see if you can find a space to understand what you're getting into it. But if you don't, and you need somehow to take time to assess the situation, do it. That's my advice to you. Because it's better to understand it rather than just going there and start doing what we know by, like we know it by shooting from the hip. Sometimes you end up in trouble doing that. So it is important to understand that part. At this point, we are going to be listening and answering questions. Anybody? Uh, any of you have any questions? I know that it was a real fast-paced presentation, but it is clear, I think, what Scott O'Brien told us about it, and we were able to understand many things that, because they relate to how we do business every day, anyways. So we use empathy in everything. We are always in tune to know our feelings and try to control them and manage them more than control them. So anybody would like to share with us perhaps something that happened in their careers that reminds you that you could use any of these competencies?
Pretty much every day.
This is every day, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I like to, when I was looking at it, the main question that came up to me was keeping it real. Um, I've found that time is a big stressor. So whenever we get short on time, our stress levels go up, like deadlines. And we also use those deadlines to meet goals. So level of stress is productive, but go past a certain point, it gets counterproductive. And recognizing that point, I would say is a real mark of a really good leader, is knowing, okay, we went too far. we pushed the gas pedal down too far. We're going to have to let it off.
Yes. And that's the time to use prudence, a lot of prudence.
And keeping it real, it's you got to keep in mind that the only thing that is real is right now. Not what happened 5 minutes ago. Not what's going to happen 5 minutes from now. The reality of the situation is now is all that's real. And whenever I found this tool very good on talking somebody down.
Yeah.
Gotten overstressed. Hey, look,
yeah.
Right now is all that's important. Let's get to right now. Then we'll worry about
stuff.
Going back, going forward. But let's get back to here and now.
Yeah. I think it was Einstein, the one that tried to develop a concept of real time. I remember when we were at NASA working, we tried to recreate a slope program, a sloping program that will allow us to plot the space shuttle from orbit to orbit. And we called that, at one point, it was real time. 3 minutes later, it is the past. So you will always be chasing real time. And it would be nice, to have real time stop and be with us, because we all probably live 2,000 years old. But that's not the case. As time goes by, isn't that what the song said? We vegetate, and it's a fact of life. But yeah, I see what you're saying. The idea, Gary, is as a leader, you need to be, if you are being trained to understand how your people are stressful and recognize that they are stressed, then I'm glad to hear that you also recognize when you are going through a stress situation, and then how that stress, you put limits to it so you can measure your level of stress. If you say, well, I'm going to give him a couple days and maybe he'll come back with an answer, and here we are, it's the fourth day and nothing happens, the stressful races, and there's all kinds of wondering. So I think I understand perfectly how you feel about that. You wanted to say something, Tom or Ron?
Well, the one thing that I kind of saw in this, and as they said, you heard they said to put yourself in the mental shoes of others, and that was at the very beginning and maybe in a bit of a review, but that really caught me, because so many times you're saying, oh, put yourself in the shoes of that other person. I would say, okay, I'm trying to understand what they're saying. I've never to understand their idea, but I've never thought of it in a way to understand how they're feeling about their idea, what their emotion is about their idea, to understand better if you're going to have a conversation, or even if it's a discourse that's not working well, to say, oh, well, how's that person emotionally feeling about that idea, so you can understand it a little better. So the mental shoes of others, I'm gonna try that and see how that works for me. I'm kind of excited to see how that's gonna play out.
I was gonna react. Yeah.
Yeah, because lots of times I put myself in their shoes and it doesn't matter. But maybe if I get into their mental shoes, it might make a difference in being able to reach a good conclusion.
Yeah, I'm quite sure that you will find it very amusing once you do that mentally. It's quite difficult, but if you continue to use your empathy, you should be able to feel what he's feeling. Dr. Goldman, Daniel Goldman, explained to us a long time ago that the leader should be a leader of resonance. To me, and in electrical engineering, resonance means a bell shape, and the top of the peak will be the frequency that is resonant. Left and right, deviation, right? That's what I keep in mind. And he said to me, okay, Rick, so you are at the peak. And I said, yes. What that means? I said, that's when the noise is down and you're clear, clean coming through. Correct. And I said, correct? He said, yes. A leader should be able to tune up in the brain of the other person and be able to be resonant in what that guy is thinking. I did not know until I read the book, and I'm gonna suggest to you what book is that in a minute here, but he wants resonance leaders that understand that part, and at that point you will be stepping on their mental shoes. Hopefully they will not be too tight. That would be good. Hi, Carlos. Dr.
Hi, Rick. Sorry for the delay.
Oh, no problem. Don't worry about it. We'll be having
my
fun.
calendar made me full. It was the hour difference we have.
Yeah.
I was waiting for 7.
But by the way, guys, Carlos Crabb is our representative in the Latin American countries. LED also trained leaders in the Spanish community. We do have up there companies, Molitalia, Coca-Cola. We have all kinds of leaders around there, and Carlos represents us up there to take this type of classes, to take this type of information to them in Spanish. Dr. Jeanette Devine, did you want to ask a question?
I was just going to say thanks for the informative presentation. This was very great as far as the concepts that were discussed tonight. And I just wanted to say, someone had indicated that these concepts are kind of used every day. And I would second that. And I will also say that it's probably heightened since of the pandemic. I think that leaders and also informal leaders will have to take a lot of these cues, because even though issues were still there with the pandemic, the different work schedule, just a different way of life brings about different actions and personalities of people that may not have been addressed or now coming to the forefront. But at the end, there's still a mission and goal of the team that still needs to be met. So this is wonderful, and hopefully more businesses and practices can implement this. So just wanted to share that information.
Thank you, Dr. Devine. I make sure that you receive the next invitation. I mean, there's more information for us leaders to continue better ourselves. And yeah, ND is something that happens every day. And our personality takes over, and we're trying to resolve the problems ourselves the best we can. But these tips and this information that we all receive is for you to remember Remember when I said in there, the idea is not to work hard. Instead, instead to use this concepts to work better and easier. Um, and I'm sure, is it a constant thing? I remember, and you probably remember, Dr. Divine, I started my first group in 1979. Uh, I was part of the federal government then because I was working for NASA in California. And we were the first group that developed quality circles. Remember that? Quality circles was the first thing that we developed up there. And we were able to have meetings in those quality circles in where we all open up and talk about the everyday thing. You will be surprised the things that came out of there, things that you wouldn't even imagine, how people feel about you when you were, in the cafeteria having coffee and you didn't answer back when he said hello. And sometimes you don't even know you're in another dimension thinking about formulas and things like that, and you don't know. But if you don't have these quality circles in where you find out that unintentionally you offended somebody without you really realize that you did, um, it opens in my mind the fact that I need to be paying more attention to what you said, Gary, real time, instead to be thinking on the past, on the future. So it's really interesting, very, very interesting. We are going to be. I see a lot of things in here. Venice, thank you. You have anything for us? Garland,
As
I
I
just
said,
want to,
go ahead, Venice.
oh, I was just saying I found it very informative. There are aspects that it's not unfamiliar, but I've never thought of it as emotional intelligence. Just thinking of it as doing the right thing, like that aspect about being your body language and your physical appearance. You know, those basic things are so crucial, but of course, sometimes we just take them for granted. You know, you either know it or you don't know it. So I've never really seen it or thought of it as emotional intelligence.
Yeah, yeah.
So I
That
really
is.
appreciate this presentation. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, Venice. Really welcome. Leslie, you have anything for us?
No, yes, I actually, what really resonated with me was when it talked about the state of mind and how it's all about your attitude and how you treat others as well as how you react.
Yes.
And I love the quote by Dale Carnegie is when he stated, when dealing with people, remember you're not dealing with creatures of logic, but with creatures of emotion. And I get caught up in that because I'm a technical person. And I'm also emotional because I'm a female, but I get caught up in the mix of it. It resonated with me because I have to remember and do my due diligence and remembering that we are dealing with creatures of emotion. So that really stood out for me with the quote by Dale Carnegie.
Yes.
Not everybody's logical, you know.
Yeah, that is very true. I think that alone it says a lot about who Mr. Carnegie is and was for us. And
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
So I thank you for the
Yeah,
presentation.
sure. I hope that you keep coming. On our last class, we're gonna have a guest speaker that you guys are going to be very happy to meet.
Oh,
And
yeah, thank you.
yeah, so we're coordinating right now with him. And see, now I just gave it away with him. but
That's,
it will be nice to have him here. So anybody else that wants to say anything about this class is welcome now. It's 8:30. I know that we're past 30 minutes. We try to do it as fast, but to to inject this much information, it's important. We don't want to do it a lot. There's a lot more than this. Um, Being emotional intelligence definitely is good. Is something that is going to help us all in our leadership careers. But there's other things in leadership that we are going to be talking. The next class, like I said, is called Leadership, Impact, and Power. Uh, it's important for a leader to understand to use the power in the positive way, not in the negative way. And when you use power in the positive way, you can move your team. You can inspire your team to do anything they they need to do, and they will follow you. And even and this is a sign of a good leader. Even when you're not in there, when you are away, they behave like you are there, and that would be your metric for you to understand that you have achieved that level of of communication with them, of understanding with them, and that is important. That's very, very important. I remember the other day, I think I left with three people in three different areas of the factory doing work, and I went to I went to my home, and one of the leaders called me the following day and said, "Hey, you guys did pretty good. I mean, I see that you guys replace all the things that I asked you to do." And he said, "I didn't see you though." And I said, "I don't need to be there. If I be there, then you don't need me really." This is the point. We train people to become leaders. And the goal is for them to look at us and get inspired and try to emulate and to become loyal and to do things of that nature. I don't mean to do any marketing, but wait until I publish that book called The Greatest Leader Known to Man. We all need to emulate him because that is probably one of the things that we have long forgotten. And now we're seeing a lot of things that really makes you wonder, how did we get this far? Why this child is shooting people in the school? Why this ex-employee of UP, I don't know what, I think it was FedEx, went and shoot people? Because all of them have really walked away from the greatest leader known to man. Just think about that, and that's more to come. So, gentlemen, Carlos, you have anything for us?
I didn't catch the whole conversation, but related to this issue, I always have in mind the rule. Everyone knows which is the golden rule for the relationships, no? Which is
Treat others the way you like to be treated.
to others what you want they do to you, no?
Yeah.
Or treat to others how you want to be treated.
Exactly.
But there's one more rule. It's the platinum rule.
Uh-huh.
You know which one is that?
Enlighten me. Latino?
It is treat the others how they want to be treated.
Yeah.
Not as
Okay.
you want to be treated. That's
Yes.
the platinum rule, and I think that applies to this conversation.
Oh,
you had
absolutely.
today, no?
Absolutely, Carlos. You're right on the money in there. But, after all, leadership is servitude, and that's what we are. So that's good. They should not be like they want that they treat me or not. They should be the way they want to be treated. So Very well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very well. Anything else then? I tell you, I will be sending the invitation for leadership, uh, inspiration, impact, and power to all of you. And I believe that this month probably we're going to rest, and then we will be resuming in June because Carlos and I, had to do a lot of work to try to do the same thing to the Spanish community. So, if anything else, thank you for being here tonight, all of you that attended, and of course, send me a note. You got my email, and if you need any further explanations or anything that you like to know about, not only emotional intelligence but in any topic of leadership at all. So, okay. So with that, I think that we really need to let's see.